We are going to be making a flying bee card today. That means those wings will actually move, so you have a beautiful little card that you can put a greeting inside. Now, the types of supplies that you're going to need are not too bad. We have asset number 407 in our resource library, both for the free Creative Crafters Club and the Hub. You're going to need 2 sheets of sort of Easter colored paper. This is what I've been using with the bees. I've decided on a yellowish type color. You're going to need some glue and of course some scissors. And of course you're going to need to be able to use it on your Cricut machine. So we're going to upload asset number 407, and Design Space will be here in just a second. Here we go. And inside Design Space, we are going to start a new project. Okay, new project. We're going to our uploads. And we have a bee project. Now, this is the one that I have, and it is called Bee Cutout. So we're going to add that image to our canvas. So let me just click on it and add it to the canvas. There's not much else you need to do with the bee, but we do need to make the card itself. And we're going to go through the whole process here of making a card. So let's grab a shape. And in our case, we'll just grab a rectangle. We will unlock it. Now I want the width to be 10 inches and the height to be 5.5 inches. And of course I'm going to change this color to a lighter color. Let's just make it a light yellow so that we can see it. We are going to need a score line down the center. So let's just grab a score line. And I'm going to make its height 5.5 inches. And I'm just going to grab both of those together, come here to align and center. And then what I want to do is just highlight those together. I'm going to attach them because that's what we need for the card itself. Now you notice the bee is pretty big at this point, and it's going to be cut out onto the outside piece of our card. And then we are going to have a piece of card on the inside that is going to work for us. So I'm just going to grab another shape here, and I'm going to make it the rounded rectangle because I need one of these has to go in behind the bee that we are going to create. And that looks pretty good. I'm just going to unlock this, I don't want it too much, but I want it to fill out top and bottom as well. And I am just eyeballing it at this point. I'm going to unlock it here, and this is going to be, let's make it the same color as this one. This will go in behind. Now we want to have just that piece of the bee that is going to cut out. And I'm going to have to then arrange this and bring it to the front. Perfect. So if I take this, I've got to make sure that it fits right on top of my card here. Okay, looks pretty good. Now I think I'm going to unattach this and I can center it later. So if I want to take this and I just want that to cut out, I don't want the outer edges to cut out, but I just want the bee part to cut out. And this is where we're going to have to start playing a little bit with our card. And it's easy enough to make a new card, but I am just going to take the card itself. I'm going to use an Alt and just drag it out of the way, just so I have an extra copy, because I want to play with these 2 pieces right now. Now what I can do here is play with the combine menu and see what the different things are going to provide for us. Let's click on exclude first. And you see you get a cutout of the bee, which we want, but we also get a cutout of the hole, which we don't want. So I'm just going to undo that. Now if I take this out of the way, and let's see, let's just grab the 2 here. And we're going to play with the combine one more time. And what if we did an intersect? Well, we end up with a part of the card with some cutouts in it. And actually that is not a bad thing, but we are not going to accept that one as well. So let me just grab these two things again. Now what if we did a subtract? Once again, we get this piece in the middle, but I only want this particular piece for the card. So let's undo that one. Now, one final idea here is to come up to the combine, and if we unite them, then we're going to lose the whole cut of itself. So I have another little solution that I want to play with because I only want the bits and pieces. So let me just grab this. Oops, sorry, I just want to grab this B, and I'm going to place them over top of this guy right here. Actually, I'm going to duplicate our B. I'm just going to duplicate it in place. I'm just holding down the Alt key, and I'm going to click, and I get them both in the same place. I'm going to take the bottom one, the bottom one where I did the duplicate. Okay, let me just hide this guy just so that we don't interfere with it. So we have the B here, that's the bottom one. I'm coming down here to contour. I'm going to hide all contours. Perfect. Now I have hidden all the contours in the back. I'm going to grab both of these together. Didn't grab both of these together. And I'm going to combine here. And what happens when I hit exclude this time? I simply get the piece that I want, but I've ended up with some extra lines that I don't want. So now I'm in a spot where I have the B exactly the way I want it, but I have extra lines around the outside edge. So I'm going to have to remove those extra lines. Now those are fairly easy to get rid of. I'm just going to grab a shape, just grab a square. And I am going to get rid of my extra lines here. I'm going to unlock this. And just drag down over the edges. And I know this takes a little bit of work, but I'm going to grab those two together, just like that. And this time I am going to slice it. And when I grab my B now, I got rid of those extra lines. Just the miracle. It's magic. Okay. So now I have the B exactly the way I want it. And I'm going to be able to take it here and cut it out. Now somewhere in here we have our score line. I'm going to bring that to the front. And once again, I'm just going to take the score line and the card itself. Just make sure I got those two. I'm going to come back up here to a line and center. Great. Now I can place my B where I want it here. This looks really good. I'm going to grab that together. Now I'm going to come here to combine. Now if I hit exclude, I only get the cutout of the B, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So let me just grab my line here, bring it back to the front. Now what I want to do is grab these. Oh, I didn't get the score line with it. Grab this together, align and center. Now I'm going to attach all of this. Now I have a B cut out of my card, and I have the backing for my card. Now you could cut out some other designs. I'm going to duplicate this one, and you can add a greeting or a pattern or whatever you decide. So this one is going to go in behind. But I also want one that is going to have something else for the greeting on the other side. So let me just duplicate that one. I have two of them now, which is fine. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to delete it. I no longer need it. And we have our original B cut out here. And we have our slice result. Perfect. Okay, I just want to make sure we only have the things that we want here. I'm going to change the color of these two to match the color of our card because I only want to cut everything out on one sheet. And we don't need this guy anymore. I am going to delete him. So now we just have 3 pieces that we are going to cut out. We can add greetings, we can do anything with it. All right, so let's save our B card. So this is going to be a B card, and I'm just going to put it under cards. I'm going to save it. Okay, so I'm just going to click that. We're going to come over here and we are going to make it. And I'm just going to move these down, but you'll notice I can get 8.5 by 11 if I have 2 6-inch pieces of paper, which we will cut. This looks good. Select my machine. It's going to connect to my maker. All right, now we can pick our medium cardstock. Now, before we put anything in, it's looking for the fine point blade second and the scoring wheel first. What we want to do is put all of our stuff together that we're going to be using. If I flash this up on the screen, on the bottom 6 inches we have our 2 pieces that we want. And on the top we have the other ones. Now I can edit this right here on the spot, especially if I want to move this over and make them 2 different pieces of paper. That gives me the ability to stick them on the 6-inch sides of each one. I'm going to click on done here, and that looks pretty good. We're ready to load the mat, but we need to prepare everything for it. So let's go over here. I have my mat ready. We have our example B card. I have my glue ready here. Now we can decide exactly what we want to do with the one mat here. Pull the top off. Before I do that, I want to cut my paper exactly the way I need it. And this one is 12 to 18, is almost 6 inches. And if I check back on my item, I need almost 6 inches, so I could probably get away with this one for the outside of my card. Now for the 2 other sheets, I've got a couple of patterns that I thought I might use, and I thought this might be very nice coming through on one side, so I need a 6 by 6 inch piece of this. And as far as the greeting goes, I can cut a piece of this 6 by 6 and maybe paste a greeting on top of that a little later. So let's just play with a couple of sheets of paper here. I'm going to need my cutting board here to get some 6 by 6. Now this one has an extra piece on it, so I'm going to have to get rid of that before I can do any cutting. Now I get my papers generally from Michael's, Joann's, or Hobby Lobby. I usually try to find ones that are solid core, but these pattern papers are absolutely incredible. So I want a 6 by 6 piece here, so I'm going to go down to the 6-inch mark here. And I have a 6-inch right about where I am right here. I'm just going to cut 6 here. Now all I need to do is just turn this over and come down to the 6-inch mark. Come over to the 6. Now I should be able to pull this sheet right out. There's one 6 by 6 piece. Same thing with my glitter. That's exactly what I want, is a 6 by 6. So let's pull this down to 6. And I'm going to go over to the 6-inch mark, which is right about here. Same thing, all I need to do is just circulate it, bring it back down to the 6-inch mark. I should be able to pull that right out. I guess I didn't pull that one right through. So we have our 2 6-6 pieces. Now for the outside of the card, I just noticed that we've got a little bit of staining going on this piece of paper, and the other piece that I had picked is not thick enough, so I am going to drag out another piece of paper that I have that's of a similar gold color, And of course I only want a 6-inch piece here, so I'm just going to come up to the 6. This is an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So it's really easy to cut and work with. So now I've got the 3 pieces that I want to work with my mat. And now we're going to put the mat together. So let's just take our protective cover off. The first piece is going to go up here. Now this is just cardstock, so you don't have to worry about how it's going to go through or what's going to happen with it. Now I put one on the bottom corner here and the other one over here, and it doesn't matter what order they are in. Looks great. Remove my extra papers here. And I'm going to use a brayer tool to really push it hard down on the mat because I don't want things to slip off. I want them to stick. I want them to cut where I want them to cut. Now, we're all ready to go ahead and place it inside. And while we're waiting for that, telling us that we are measuring the mat length, and then it's going to tell me to push the button to make it go, to make sure I have the right equipment in place. There we go. Now it's one small score line. What's going to take the time is cutting the B portion out on our mat, and that's why I wanted to use the brayer tool to hold everything down. I want to make sure that it is going to stick into place the way that we want it. Just going to give me a change of tools here in 1 second. Give it a change. Now it's just going to take a few minutes to go through. Now what's going to happen, this is going to cut out, and I used a square edge on the new card that we've just put together, but it's going to be a little difficult to pull this out because you've got the B wings that you can pull out when you put it together. And I've used the gold color that's going to go underneath here, and that's going to look really nice. And then you can actually, with the gold color, it'll be white on the back if you want to add some other greetings on there. And then of course we have the pattern piece that would either fit on this side or this side, depending on how you want to write the greeting for your card. Now this shouldn't take too much longer. And of course, in order to glue everything together, we're going to use our Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. I find this works really well with cardstock. It doesn't leave any ripples. You don't need to use very much of it. It dries clear. And of course, the part I like the best are the precision tips that come with it. So I just got this one off here. Just clean it off. Make sure that I have it clean inside. Don't need any extra pieces of glue hanging around. That's the only thing with these. You just have to make sure you keep those tips clean and it doesn't clog up. You have to pretty well clean it after every use. It's really good. Residue here. I will clean it off anyway. Clean off my pin. Looks like we're pretty well ready to pull this off our machine now. I'm going to take off my cap here and put on my precision tip. Just set that aside while we pull our mat. far we have everything in place. So I'm just going to pull this off. This one will be a little more difficult. That's why I need scissors. Sometimes things just stick more than I want them to. Okay, this one really wants to stick, so I will trim it off with my scissors or my nails here. Perfect. Okay, just get that extra little piece off. All right, let's toss our paper out here. Get it off my desktop. Okay, the next piece we have is our pattern piece, and it's extras. And now we have, of course, our B card. I'm going to grab the extra off of the top first. Let's get those off the desktop. Now this is where we're going to have to be a little more careful on how we pull, because we've got all the extra B parts and we don't want anything to break. You see, we've got little pieces here. Just being very careful on the pull up. I'm using my fingers, but you could probably use a weeding tool to get this off, because you don't want just to pull the card. I need to pull these little pieces out of the way too. Little body parts here. Very careful with this one in the middle, and we look really good here. We managed to get that off. I have all these extra pieces. Now when you have extra pieces, the easy way to remove those is simply just take a scraper tool and scrape it off your mat before you put your protective cover back on. And I know my mat is starting to look a little worse for the wear, but I will have to clean some. Always keep the protective cover on the mat so you're not picking up other debris. Great. All right, let me just get rid of my extra pieces here. Don't need anything extra floating around. Use this as a scooping tool as well. Into my bucket. Okay, we are ready to start working with our B card, and of course we're going to have these wings are going to come up. That's going to look really cute. We have our score line right here. I'll just use my fingers for now to push it down, because what we want to do now is put in our gold piece underneath, so you can see the gold underneath. That is really effective. Now we want to make sure that we glue down just the body parts, but not the wings. So what I'm going to do is just hold the wings up a little bit. Now we're going to apply our glue to this part and not the cover to start, just because I want to hold the bee body into place. Just around the little edges here. Make sure our bee body stays in place. Don't need a lot, just enough to hold it into place. And then the other part I'm going to add, I've got a little bit of glue there. I'm going to add some glue on the outside edges. I'll just let that sit there for a second. Just going to add a little bit of glue around the outside edges of this as well. Actually, I'm on the wrong side of it. That doesn't help. Okay, just pull that off. I wanted it on this side. Just a little bit on the outside edges. Now, this is a glitter paper, so they're a little tougher to glue into place. Just little bits. Don't need a lot. Where my finger is here. Okay, now for the part where we want to line everything up, make sure our bee is covered. I'm going to push this down. Make sure our B is covered. Line it up. Push it down that way. Now I'm going to pull it over and pull up the wings just because I don't want them to be glued down, and just make sure everything else is glued down into place. That works extremely well. Yes, that's perfect. So now I have our little bee card. Now we can write a greeting here. We can add some design to here, or we can add our design over here. It doesn't matter. I like to have a little bit of a design on the inside, and then I can add some other parts to a greeting here. So let me just grab this on the outside edges. Now if you had some extra little embellishments, you could add them. And then you could either write a greeting, or you can add something else in place. And there we go. There is our gorgeous little bee card.